welcome to another episode of Posh Teacher. And today we're going to be talking about a really important topic that I think needs to be put in the forefront in the world of education, and that is dyslexia. And as educators, and including myself, we've been presented with students with dyslexia, and I'm really excited to have our guest, Dylan, to open up the world of dyslexia and show us some perspective on it. So thank you for being on our program, Dylan. Welcome.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
Well, Dylan, first we want to know, can you share your educational journey and then when along the way you discovered that you had dyslexia?
Of course. So I am not from the States. I'm from Russia. And I did kindergarten twice because alphabets in the alphabet and learning and reading from a different language was hard to begin with, genuinely speaking. So me and my brother did kindergarten twice, and then we did first grade, and then we went normal from there. Mm-hmm. And it was always a challenge. I remember being dizzy looking at books. So when a big textbook opens up and it's a lot of small words, at first it's very overwhelming, and then it gets confusing and things start to move around, and then I get dizzy. And then I get frustrated. So that's how it usually works for me. I know it's different with all dyslexics because the value of how intense it is for everybody is different. Everybody experiences it differently. But normal schooling, genuinely speaking, but I was diagnosed with ADHD in third grade on the wrong medication for 10 plus years. Did not know I was dyslexic until I was in 10th grade.
And so your years of education until that point must have been really frustrating.
Yeah, but I looked at it as a blessing because there's a positive in everything. And there's a positive in everything. So with that, I learned so much because I had to learn how to think and learn outside the box. Okay, so this isn't working. I can't read. I can't get good test grades. I can't do my homework. It's all such a struggle. I had to build and create a different avenue. So what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to outwork my peers. So stay after, show up to class 30 minutes early when the teacher got in. Oh, hey, I didn't understand this. Look, I tried my homework. I studied as much as I could. I know I'm about to fail the test. And with that kind of attitude, I'm going to be this much better every day as a student. And I want to learn as much as I can as a human because we're not perfect, but we can try our best to be as great humans as we are. So every day, I'm like, oh, math this week, all right, it's Monday. I'm going to go to the math teacher before class started and say, hey, I didn't understand this. I did my homework. I studied. I watched videos. I think Khan Academy a lot. I even tried Huntington Learning Center. And it didn't work. So I just showed that I cared and I was trying, and teachers helped me out. And with that kind of mindset and progression, I was the kid to be getting 50s on homework tests, and that was my grade was always failing. And I was always the just by on the skin of your nose. So 65 or 70 was a great grade to me, but I had won all the academic awards with just 60s and 50s.
Fabulous. Wow. So you found that drive just within you. I mean, how, being a motivated 8th grader, was it just a personal drive that you reached out to teachers? Where did you get that energy from to do that?
So I was a wrestler from 7th up, and wrestling teaches you a lot. It's a lot of discipline, and it's a lot of to learn something. You learn how to figure something out. All you got to do is practice, right? So it's whatever you put your time into. And with dyslexia, wrestling, anything in life, I knew that if I put my blood, sweat, and tears, may I say, into it, that I would get something out of it, and a little form of success. So if that's, I don't know, a 70, 75, like knowing I'm not failing, my shoulders above water, not just my neck. I guess it was just kind of like, let's do that. So I was always this didn't work. I was never a kid to be stressed. I was always, so this didn't work. Let me create or find a different avenue to figure out the issue. Because with every issue, there's a solution, and let's do it.
Oh my goodness. I love your words that like you said, just staying above water, and you found a way to stay above water. That's fabulous. Your words of encouragement. So just to kind of when you got to 10th grade, how did you end up being diagnosed? Because I've had students that I had a junior just sobbing in my room once, and finally he got help and reached out, but he was a junior in high school when he first discovered. How did you know in 10th grade that, you were dyslexic, that the diagnosis was, you were misdiagnosed? How did you find that out?
How did I find it out? So my stepfather had us evaluate. So we had all the teachers, all the board members of the school, all of my mom and her, she was a teacher at the time, great mom. They were all like, oh, well, the doctor kind of just threw meds at me and said it's ADHD, simple diagnosis. And everybody just kind of believed it because, oh, he's got the degree, he's the doctor, he knows what's up. But
Right.
that brings me back to, we're human, we make mistakes and we're not perfect.
Right.
And we don't always know everything. Even though we did the schooling, we could make mistakes. And
Right.
I've always been in that mindset due to this and wrestling, because I've always been open-minded and just learning. And the biggest thing is grit and to trust the process, which is probably the hardest thing that I had to do, is trust the process. So as a 16-year-old kid, I didn't want to do what I had to, but at the end of the day, it's what you have to do. So I had to throw in my summer going into sophomore year. So I did tutoring every day, and we literally started with 3 letters ABC. So we did Orton Gillingham with a tutor. So writing it in sand, saying it, drawing it in the air, saying it. And I just did it for, I want to say, a year and a half, 2 years. But within the 3 months, I made such substantial jumps that it was noticeable to my peers and my teachers, because my grades went from then 65, 70s to 80s, 75, 80s.
Oh my gosh. So you found the formula that how it worked for you. So the first step before that I skipped was we had to get me evaluated to see if it wasn't truly dyslexia. So find who the best is to be evaluated. That was Marta Flom. And then she evaluated me. Oh, he's got dyslexia and it's very severe. And I've never been the one to say no. I've always said yes and figured it out, because that way I always learn and I grow within the process of it. So at that point, my dad looked at me and he said, are you willing to do tutoring every day? And I remember looking at him and saying, I'll do anything that it takes to make this stop or make this easier. Oh my goodness. So it must have been a relief, because I know once dyslexic students have been diagnosed and they start to work like you are, they say it's like a weight off their shoulders. Like they can finally just relax and actually enjoy learning. Did that kind of happen to you?
It did, actually, very much so, because my fear of failing was it was wrestling, because wrestling was my happy place. So I was getting threatened by my teachers and parents that you're going to get off the wrestling team because your grades are dipping.
Oh my God.
So it was just keep the head above water, chin was a little wet, and stay there just to get through your freshman year, right? And then we'll do this every year. And I remember just the season starting sophomore year and me going, oh, I'm a little more than shoulders up. I think I've got my chest out now, like I'm standing in shallow water. So I wasn't stressed about it and just be running around the mat. My teammates knowing that I'll be here all season with no stress about it.
Yeah.
That was when the relief set in.
That's phenomenal. So speaking of, being part of a team, were there challenges socially? I mean, I know some kids are, labeled as lazy, or their friends call them dumb, or you're never going to do anything with your life. Did you ever have to deal with that type of bullying in school?
So yes, that's with school. I think we should, my goal is to, again, create awareness, but in regards to more adult focused, of course, because we are naturally, it's disability, negative connotation. That's it. Disability, not capable. That's the word that comes to mind to people who are, may I say, ignorant. So they throw us in the small classes and everybody else is in a big class, which I consider it segregation, and that makes both teams act much differently towards each other. So that does instill some insecurity in me, I will be honest. And then my peers who I looked up as his friends would then be like, oh, he's in the small classes, he's automatically stupid. But dumb and disability are not the same word, and dumb and dyslexic are not the same word. And the way I look at the word disability is different ability.
Great. Awesome.
And I look at it like that. So I think I wouldn't do anything differently looking back, because of how much I've learned and been humbled by both wrestling and just the finding out I'm dyslexic and having to do more. I've learned doing more than what is asked of me and more than what is needed that's the recipe. So
then in the education system, do you feel then that they help you along that? Were there teachers that were supportive in your journey? How did the education system treat you with dyslexia, especially like in high school, like you said? Once they found out you were dyslexic, were they like informed about what dyslexia is and were able to help you, or like?
Unfortunately, they weren't. I was just in a small class and everybody had different disabilities. So it's like kind of still generalized, but now we're generalized and we're all looked at. Like I'm sitting next to somebody who has a completely different issue and the teacher still doesn't know how to teach it. So it's just smaller setting. Oh, maybe if there's less kids and it fixes the issue, and it realistically speaking makes it worse because now we're segregated from our peers and looked at as stupid.
So how can the educational system, if you could have the power right now, what would you do for dyslexic students in the world of education? What should teachers be doing? What should the whole entity be doing to help?
I believe in the process of teaching school. I didn't go to college. I did a trade school. So I am not
Fabulous.
educated on education. But in my head, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we could add a new segment to whatever you guys are learning in school as a teacher, whatever you have to learn, study, and do in schooling to become a teacher, a full-on teacher. We could add a little more detailed section of what disability is and maybe teach the future teachers on how to address certain disabilities. And then that's okay if we have 2 or 3 teachers in the room, but those out of those 3, one knows how to address and teach and kind of, I don't want to say hide, but hide the fact that they're learning different than their peers. So then there's 1, no bullying, and 2, everybody's apart, and 3, you're learning and you're all learning and getting what you need in one class, and it's kind of said and done.
I think that's phenomenal. You know what? I had a student with dyslexia and I would give him the tests verbally and he would ace them. That's all he needed. I mean, just for him to write, big essay, whatever, was obviously it's stressful. And he was an A student, and he got the information, like you said, in a different way, but he still was able to comprehend it.
Yeah.
So
I looked at it as an advantage because being dyslexic, as I said, I had to create a different avenue. I had to figure it out. I feel like if I wasn't, I wouldn't have that skill on to be creating another avenue to learn. So that's where it comes into thinking outside the box, which transferring into the real world, I've succeeded in many ways, thinking outside the box.
So tell me about thinking outside the box. Like what successes have you had because of your challenges with dyslexia? So giving someone some hope and positivity, share some successes.
So I am signed to a tech firm and I work full time and I travel the world fixing, replacing, building, and updating all tech for all the financial groups, brokerages for stocks, and I do hedge funds. So I travel all the time and I'm taken care of in that aspect. And I work for some of the most important businessmen in America right now.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. So you have that high school student that, discouraged, frustrated with dyslexia, and is literally trying to have a piece of hair above water, not even his head or her head above water in the traditional education system. What hope can you give them? What advice can you give them?
Trust the process. That was so hard for me because a 16-year-old kid doing tutoring every day in July inside. Oh, you have no idea. My friends were on the lake. They were biking. They were swimming. But I wouldn't change it for sure because I love everything. Like when I'm put up against a wall and I'm forced to learn or create an avenue, the experience is humbling. It molds you into somebody who you didn't think you could be. And you just learn that you're capable of much more than you thought. And after that experience, because obviously I know many kids with dyslexia who, you're stupid by your peers. And then you start to believe it. And you're, okay, I'm stupid. And that's the end of it. After that tutoring experience, after that 3.5, 4 months when I went back to school, somebody said it. I was upset because now I put work in, right? I put work in. I cared about it. I had value in it. I knew I was smarter than I thought I was. And I knew that I wasn't stupid. I knew I wasn't going to college. I'm not a scholar in that aspect, but college isn't needed for everyone.
No.
The owner of Microsoft did not go to school. So
I saw your quote. That's why I like to be.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a great quote.
Yeah. So every day I make 3 new. Writing a book right now. I'm setting up a tour to go to schools and learning centers and camps to talk to kids and adults to kind of create awareness, and just I want to try to focus on what we can do. I mean, we can't do much, but I'm gonna do what I can, all in my power,
You do.
and just keep doing my social media stuff and just helping. Because the reason I do it is because I get comments and DMs of things like etc. Somebody, I did a phone call with a client and they said, I'm dyslexic. She was crying, saying, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I can't read. I am the stupid kid. And then I had a couple conferences with her, and then she like DM'd me this huge paragraph. I got into my dream school because of you. You motivated me. I did this, this, and this. You for sure changed my future. Like, that kind of stuff keeps me going. And that's why.
No, you have to keep going, Dylan. We need you, because there are so many people need just those words of encouragement or to boost their self-esteem. You know, a lot of people with dyslexia, their self-esteem is, you know, brought down. And
yes, agreed. Mine was definitely down. But I don't want them to get discouraged, and I don't want you to think like you're special in a good way. And I don't judge at all anybody, because to me, it doesn't make sense, because everybody's opinions don't match. So for us to judge each other and our opinions don't match, it doesn't make sense to me. So I don't judge. I feel like everybody's got opportunity. Everybody's got something to give, and everybody's capable of a lot, and we can all do great things. But I mean, if it's just at the end of the day, it's the getting up on your feet and doing what you need to do. That was trusting the process and doing the work, doing the embracing the suck, may I say.
Well, so then tell me, to tie in with that is, you know, people will say, well, aren't you going to college? You're not going to college, you know, and I, what I've seen through my experience is like, why don't we promote trade school, apprenticeships, other forms of getting higher education after high school? What can we do to help or promote that? What's your advice on people that are bashing kids right now that you're not going to college? You know, what do you do with that?
I was bashed for not going to college, so I kind of kept it quiet. I kept it quiet. And I looked at everything as an opportunity. Every person I met, meeting those people, talking to them, making connections. And it led to an internship at a small tech company, which grew to a job at a big firm. And then I was bought off that firm into a new one because of my work. So and I did graduate last year. I was a senior in 2020.
Wow.
So it's just, the crazy thing is what you can do in time. And I can for sure say I learned a lot more in that 11 months than I did in school, other than the tutoring experience. So I just figured that personally, it would have been a selfish move to not do and create what I've been creating and not give back with the knowledge and experience I have in regards to dyslexia. So I felt I had to, because I had the knowledge of, oh, here's the way, here's the road that I've paved and figured out. And this is how I did it, this program, this tutor, this many days, this many hours, and then just keep doing it. If I didn't share that, it would have been a selfish move on my part.
Wow. So then do you think, so did you find then people in your career now that finally they saw your true talents and, you know, your abilities? Because I think, you know, I think it takes for especially people with dyslexia, that one person in life they can see your talent and doesn't care about your grades, doesn't care about all that. They see you as you with your abilities. Are there those people out there in the professional world?
Yes, I do kind of, I work, and then I slide in what I do on the side, which is dyslexia stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they're nothing but impressed. And I know that everybody, no matter what the disability is that you're intelligent and you're capable of anything. And it's just the bullying. I feel like bullying comes from pain, and somebody else is insecure about something, and we can't stop it, but that's where it comes from. Yeah. So what I used to do when somebody bullied me, they'd be like, you're stupid. And I'd be like, okay, how? We all have different intelligence, right? So everybody's got different intelligence, and that's why nobody's stupid, but we all have skill sets and intelligence in different parts, right? So somebody can be very smart with networking, business, being a doctor, being a landscaper. I don't care what it is. At the end of the day, if you're getting up, going to work and doing what you can or what you want or what you love,
Yeah.
I have nothing but respect for you. So if you work at a gas station or you work at a hedge fund, I have the same amount of respect for you both, because you're working, you're making money, you're making connections at the end of the day.
That is, a lot of people are going to love that. That's great to hear, Dylan. Yeah. That's well said.
And there's nothing wrong with going to college either. I think it's great. It's just very traditional. And I think we're trying to break that off right now. So going to college, I have respect for everyone. So if you're going to college, I personally couldn't do it. So respect to you, right? You're doing something I couldn't have. And people do trash. You're doing something I couldn't have. Respect to you.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's well put. Well put. Well, then it leads into Dylan's personal quote or words to live by. What do you want to tell the world?
Trust the process. Keep going. Keep your head up. Not every day is promised. So treat it like that. That's why I get up at 5 and go to bed at 12, because if it's my last day, I want to get everything out of it.
Wow.
What I learned was today, a lot of people spend a lot of time on their phones, not being productive.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I did was checked my screen time. You can check your screen time on your phone.
Yeah.
And what I saw, I was very upset with myself. And I'm always figuring out ways that I can be more productive and make more for myself. So, I'm cutting that in half. Oh, now I cut that in half. I'm gonna work to cut that in half. How can I use my phone as a tool, not a toy? And just if I can watch TV for 2 hours, I can work for 2 hours. If I can be on TikTok or Snapchat for 2 hours, I can be writing a book or replying to people who need help or need that positive influence in their life, instead of doing that. That's doing nothing but wasting time that I might not have tomorrow.
Great point. And that's an important thing to say, especially with our day and age right now, so bombarded by technology. Well, I'm excited to hear more about your book, Dylan. So you said you're working on a book, right?
I am. Yes. Yes.
When is it coming out, or is it still in the making?
That is in the making, but it's definitely in progress.
Is it related to dyslexia or other?
It is my story through school, and the way it starts, I'll give you a teaser, is it starts at 9th grade, but then flashes back to other grades, and then flashes back to modern day. And it highlights like holidays and what I was feeling that holiday versus, and it compares before and after the experience.
Oh my gosh. You definitely have to come back.
Yes.
And I want to sign copies, so put me on your list.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dylan. This was amazing wealth of information, and it was really a true pleasure to have you. And I wish you continued success in everything. So, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Bye-bye.